Live look at the White House now as we wait for the briefing to begin any moment. This is President Biden and his team put the finishing touches on tomorrow's State of the Union address. He will use the speech to tout his economic record, but polls show that Americans aren't particularly thrilled with it. A whopping 41% of people saying they are worse off financially since the president took office. That's according to an ABC News Washington Post poll. And that is the lowest number in the poll's 37-year history. So what should we expect from the president's address? Let's bring in Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House and a Fox News contributor. Newt, it's great to see you. What do you expect that the president is going to focus on tomorrow night?
Well, Callista's already told me we're going to watch it, which is really, I think, a little painful. Look, it's going to be a fantasy address. The border's really not open. We really don't have a problem of fentanyl killing our children. Everybody's really economically happy. Afghanistan was a great success. I think they called it the largest airlift in history. The fact is that we were very clever and allowed the Chinese balloon to go all the way across the country, finishing its mission before we shot it down. I mean, what's he going to say? Look, presidents have to come into the State of the Union. They have to be positive. They have to tout their accomplishments, and then they have to call for an even better future. He'll do that. The biggest question in my mind, because he and Speaker McCarthy have actually had a decent conversation recently. Does he come in and pick a fight with Republicans, or does he come in and reach out an olive branch and say, we ought to be able to work together? And I think that's a very big decision for Biden. Is he going to be the Democratic leader running for re-election, or is he going to be the President of the United States trying to work with the new Republican House? And I think that probably is the most important single point of the speech tomorrow night.
Yeah, if he does the latter, it will be very much like when you were Speaker of the House. We'll see if he does it. You mentioned the balloon. Well, and even though the president apparently gave the authorization to the military to shoot down the balloon days before they actually did it, he wanted to allow it to transit the entire country before they took the shot, which you see on the right-hand side of the screen, which led Senator Tom Cotton to say this to our Shannon Bream yesterday. Listen here.
What began as a spy balloon has become a trial balloon, testing President Biden's strength and resolve.
So, again, his strength and resolve is tested, just as we saw, as you mentioned it, during the Afghanistan pullout, the build-up to the invasion of Ukraine. Now we've allowed China to float a spy balloon across the country. Maybe Dan Davis is right that it didn't have tremendous value to the Chinese, but it sure had propaganda value.
Well, not just that. I mean, first of all, these balloons are extraordinarily dangerous because you could put an electromagnetic pulse weapon on them, float them across, explode them where you want to. I mean, we have no idea what the Chinese are doing, and it was a huge risk to allow it. But there's an internal question here. When the military learned about it, apparently there's a 3 or 4 day period where they don't tell the president. When the president learns about it, he says, shoot it down. And the American military says, you know, you're not really the commander-in-chief. You're kind of a suggester-in-chief, and we're not going to do it. And so if you believe the White House, the president on Wednesday ordered it to be shot down, and the American military just ignored him. That's pretty extraordinary if true. Furthermore, the idea that they couldn't find a way to bring it down safely over the United States. There was a very funny thing in Babylon Bee where they said, first the balloon accomplished its mission, then I had it shot down. That sort of captured where we are. Why would you let a Chinese balloon go all the way across the country, including over many of our most important military bases, and only then, after it's all done, bring it down, and then bring it down in such a way that now they're having to go out and try to find it in the ocean? I mean, we had plenty of capacity to scoop that balloon out of the air. We used to do it all the time with satellite photographs back before you had electronic transmission. We'd have planes that would go out and actually capture the capsule that had the satellite spy material. The fact that we couldn't in 4 or 5 days organize an ability to capture the balloon in the air, bring it to the ground safely, and then know exactly what the material is. This is just one more example of a bloated Pentagon bureaucracy that's more worried about dealing with social issues than it is about defending the United States. From Afghanistan on, we have seen failure after failure, and the Pentagon needs a deep, thorough shakeup.
it also sort of refocuses what Obama's Defense Secretary Robert Gates said about then Senator Biden when he was running for office a couple of years ago in his book. He said, quote, "He's been wrong on nearly every major foreign policy and national security issue over the past 4 decades. Even Leon Panetta said that thing should have been taken out before it ever got into U.S. airspace."
Look, I think there's a permanent taint on this administration. The Penn Biden Center is part of a university which got $67 million from the Chinese communists. The current Secretary of State was getting $1 million a year from the Penn Biden Center. The fact is we don't have any idea how much the Biden Center in Delaware gets, because they don't release any money. So here you have a guy whose son has been implicated with business dealings in China. The center he created at the University of Pennsylvania indirectly is associated with literally over $67 million in Chinese money. He has a Secretary of State who is taking $1 million from that center annually. And gosh, they can't get anything done right. Well, maybe it's just incompetence, or maybe they really don't want to offend their Chinese friends.
All right. Newt Gingrich, always good to get your thoughts. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you again soon. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.